Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery. We get together with our distribution partners most weekday mornings, this time, 8 o'clock Central. Note we will not have a session on Friday of this week because of travel. But we get together with our distribution partners to talk strategies, tips, techniques, success stories. On Monday of this week, which would have been, the 25th of April, we announced the relaunch of the free 4-week funding program, what we affectionately call 2.0. It's a 100% free program to the client, fully grant subsidized, whereby we take clients, help them build their financial literacy. We help them build a lender compliant loan package, and we also help them become more credible on paper. We have a great referral program for that here on the bottom of 4weekfunding.org. You can fill out, let us know you'd like to be a referral partner. Scott Stroud, our Chief Marketing Officer, will create a replicated page of this, a landing page with a unique link, so then you can drive your prospects, and when they fill out this information on your page, you'll automatically get credit for it. You make on average $5,000 for each client that you refer into the free program. The way that works is, while there is no cost for them to go through the free 4-week funding program, at any point, they could decide if they'd like our assistance in helping get funding. And if so, then they would pay a performance fee off of the capital raise. So again, not bait and switch, not a shell game. They're not required to use the funding portion. It's purely optional. For those of you that are white label partners, and there's many of you on the training today, you, of course, can help them make that pivot over to your funding platform. But the bottom line is, free to the client, free for you to become a referral partner, not life-changing, but make an extra $5,000 or so, plus or minus, for every referral that goes through the process. So on Monday, we relaunched this. Yesterday, on Tuesday, the 26th, we spent some time talking about Module 1, because this is built around a 4-week, well, as it says, 4-week, right? It's built off of a 4-week curriculum. And in the first week, we focus on helping the client understand the importance of planning for their capital raise. And yesterday, we actually went through and did a demo and demonstration of how we help them do that, how we help them create a lender compliant business plan. We pay for it. You don't pay for it. The client doesn't pay for it. We pay for a cloud-based software license for every one of them called Live Plan. That's what we demonstrated yesterday, to build their 1-page pitch, to build their full lender compliant business plan, to build out 36-month financial projections. These aren't just nice to have. These aren't feel good. These are necessary elements for the business to look credible on paper, so we can go after a capital raise at that point. Today, we're going to talk about Module 2. So Module 1 is on business planning. We discussed that, showed you that yesterday. If you missed that, you may want to go back and listen and view the recording. Today, we're going to talk about Module 2. Module 2 is on credit. And so on the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see the PowerPoint deck that it's built off of. This is an award-winning curriculum developed by the FDIC, promoted by the SBA. We have mentors that work with each of these clients that go through the 4-week funding program. All of our mentors are vetted. They've had a credit check. They've had a criminal check. They have to have had significant experience working with small businesses, either as a current or former SBA, SBDC advisor, and or SCORE mentor, and or a business college professor. So for no cost, the clients are getting the curriculum, the resources, and the mentoring. So on Module 2, we'll go through and talk about the content of what we're teaching, because you see the process, right? Each week we teach new material, and then we help them apply it to their business. The world is not short of or in need of more lessons, right? You can Google just about anything, and maybe you get good information, maybe you get bad, but we don't see that there's a need to charge for the education because it's readily available. But it's only going to make a difference for the client if they apply that. So for week one, we learn about business planning, and then we help them develop a lender compliant business plan. Week two, we learn about credit, both personal and business. So from the deliverable perspective, we will help each client do a soft credit pull of their personal credit. We'll do a free credit analysis so they understand how their credit looks from the eyes of the lenders. We know that different sources of capital have different underwriting criteria, and frankly, some of them don't even look at personal credit. But we're not matching them up to a specific funding program. At this point, what we're doing is looking at all the variables. So from a personal credit perspective, we pay for it. It's not free. None of this is free. We're absorbing the cost for that. So we're going to help them understand where their personal credit is, how it looks from the view of the lenders, and give them some guidance and advice of what they may want to do to be more credible on paper. But even more important is we focus in module 2 on business credit, teaching them what business credit is, getting their profile set up with Dun & Bradstreet, helping them build a PAYDEX score and an Experian IntelliScore of at least an 80. Business credit scores go from 0 to 100, 80 or more is considered credible. We actually help them we guarantee them at least $10,000 under their EIN. So we jokingly say that not only is the free 4-week program free, we actually pay them to participate, because we're literally going to help them get at least $10,000 under their EIN with no personal guarantees within that month period. So let's dig through a little bit of the content. We're not going to go slide by slide. We encourage you as a referral partner to come to 4weekfunding.org or your replicated site, sign up for free and go through the actual curriculum. But recognizing that not everyone has done that or will do that, I want to spend just a few minutes and talk about module 2 and show you the value of the content. So let's go through the slides here. Now, again, we have these recorded on demand YouTubes. The client gets the lesson each week. They're asked to view that lesson, and then they have a one-on-one call scheduled with their mentor to answer questions and apply that knowledge. Each of these lessons, modules 1 through 4, have learning guides, participant guides. Of course, those of you that are white label partners, you're using the instructor guides to help teach. So just looking here, we've got Bernard, we've got Bruce, we've got Charles, we've got a number of you that are white label partners. So you could be teaching this right now, right? Because you're the ones that's actually working with your clients to take them through the curriculum. The rest of you that are what we call our referral partners or affiliates are feeding in, and we're taking care of the mentoring. But the agenda on module 2, which is on credit, business and personal, we always start with a pre-survey to understand what their baseline knowledge is. And I'll show you that survey here in a minute. And we cover the learning objectives, talk about how credit affects them in a big picture, the impact of personal credit, the impact of business credit, how lenders evaluate credit worthiness. We talk about credit reporting, business operations, and we wrap it up with an evaluation. So the learning objectives for module 2 include understand how the personal and business credit reporting landscape relates to your business. Secondly, identify what goes into personal business credit reports, because you have to realize, and you probably do, you know a lot. Right? You're very knowledgeable about all of this, about personal and business credit. But the truth is, a lot of people don't really understand, or they have, worse yet, they have misinformation. So they're making decisions off of bad information. They think that it's hard to build business credit. You and I know it's not. In 30 days, we can get them. You know, this isn't a great epiphany here. We can get anyone $10,000 of business credit in 30 days, but people sometimes don't realize that. They think, oh, that won't work for me, or it takes much longer. Not true. On personal credit, people often think, well, I have derogatories. I need to use credit repair. You and I know that credit repair is a very dangerous game. We do not condone or encourage the use of credit repair. But anyway, we talk about how to establish and build strong personal and business credit histories and how lenders may use their information. We also talk about credit reporting services that could benefit them, talk about how to leverage strong business and personal credit histories for better financing terms, because credit's not only going to be the difference between getting an approval or not, it also, the strength of one's credit affects the terms, meaning how much you can borrow and the cost of capital. All right, and so we sometimes teach this in person. Of course, for the 4-week curriculum, we're typically running people through it online. So again, they'll receive this package lesson via email. They'll be able to go through it on demand, and then they have the mentor that reviews it with them and applies it. Teach about the big picture of credit, how it's used, why it's used. A lot of people don't understand the difference between personal credit history and business. And of course, what we really want to focus on is business credit. What can we do to help them build their business credit so the business can stand alone? And that's good because it protects one's personal credit, but also it's very important for people that have bad personal credit that limits their access to some sources of capital. Instead, we should be focused on business credit. Moving on down here. Graphical format showing the support of business growth and sustainability. Talking about the credit spectrum. We have a case study here. There's a couple slides. So personal credit, I'm not going to spend much time on. You all probably understand. And again, what we're trying to do is minimize the use of personal credit. But the business credit is incredibly important. Here, we're talking about the difference between FICO scores and Vantage scores. But what I want to do is get you down here to the business credit portion, because that is where section 3 that we really want to emphasize. So we teach them about business credit reports. We actually help them pull their business credit reports, review what's on it, help them understand that there are 3 major players in business credit reporting: D&B, Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax Business, and Experian Business. And so even though Equifax and Experian also operate in the personal credit sphere, it's just a complete different reporting database, different algorithms, much different. Help them understand what business credit reports contain. Talk about the regulation of business credit. Talk about the difference between the scoring models. We help them check their business credit report because we need to create a baseline, and then we help them start adding trade lines. So during that 28-day process, we're going to help them add trade lines so they have access to at least $10,000 for their business. And so this checklist I really like, because we do is we actually have them now fill this out and return it to us, because it's a great self-assessment of how their business credit profile is. And let's see here if there's anything else we need to cover. Talk about how lenders look at business credit. So I won't bore you with too much of this, but the bottom line is what we have here is a turnkey, award-winning educational curriculum. What we're looking at right now is module 2 of the 4 modules. So they learn and then we apply it. And so we apply, there's really 3 main takeaways from module 2 of the 4-week curriculum. We're going to do the personal credit evaluation, which of course is free, no hard impact to their credit. Secondly, we're going to do a business credit review and help them start adding trade lines so they get at least $10,000 of business credit. And as many of you know, we also will look at their personal financial statement, PFS. The PFS, personal financial statement, evaluates the individual's net worth. And again, is that going to matter for funding? Well, some sources of capital care about that, some don't. But what you see is there's some building blocks here. So in module 2 that we're talking about now, we look at the personal financial statement of the participant. And then we'll talk tomorrow on Thursday about module 3, where we look at the business financial statements. So we kind of build into it. So with that being said, who has questions, concerns about, well, all the way up to anyone have questions or concerns about the value proposition of the free 4-week funding program, what it does, how it's an outstanding value for the client, how it's completely free, how you can become a referral partner, how you can generate on average $5,000 for just submitting people to your page. If you have any spillover questions from yesterday's lesson on module 1, which we went through in detail, talking about live plan, building out their pitch, their business plan, their financial forecast, and or if you have any questions or concerns today about module 2, which is on credit, looking at business credit, personal credit, as well as their personal financial statement. So again, it's important to understand, why do we do this? Because we've received a grant to help small businesses prepare for a capital raise. You and I are not so naive to think that just because I want capital, I can go out and get capital. We need to look credible on paper. So that starts with building a foundation of knowledge, of key concepts and principles. I have one client, I won't mention that the client is actually the father, but I don't interface with the father. I interface with the daughter. And this is a family in Hawaii. And it really validates the need for what you and I do as technical advisors, because there's just so much financial illiteracy out there. And it's no wonder that so many small businesses have trouble accessing capital, because frankly, a lot of them just don't know what they don't know. So the role that you and I play as technical advisors is just huge. It's just keenly important to be able to help these individuals understand, build a lender compliant loan package, and become credible enough on paper. Otherwise, many of them won't access capital. All right, Cameron is asking about the $10,000 under the business credit. And so our focus is certainly helping them open trade lines that will report on their business credit profiles with Dun & Bradstreet and or Experian Business and or Equifax Business. Cameron, what you and I know that not everyone knows is that when you start a business, or if you've not worked on building your business credit out, you typically have a failing score. So even though you've done nothing wrong, but if you've not had a concerted effort, the business doesn't look credible on paper. And so we need to add at least 4 trade lines that report to Dun & Bradstreet to create a positive PAYDEX score. And we need to add at least 1 on Experian Business, because by default, they're going to have a score of about 27, 28, 29 on a 100 basis, right? My son's in 6th grade. He doesn't know anything about business credit, but he could tell you, Dad, a score of 27, 28, 29 on a 100 scale is pretty crappy, right? It's not good. It's failing. Well, that's where most of these small businesses are, is they have a failing business credit score. But often they're oblivious to it. Like, well, I don't know. I don't care. I'm not going to use it. Well, if you're trying to apply for capital, for credit, for trade lines, then it does matter. So yes, we're going to focus on trade lines that report, because otherwise it doesn't change the credibility of the client on paper. Great question, Cameron. All right. Dwight's asking a question. So you're right, Dwight. Stepping back. So we have a number of different campaigns that each of you as a referral partner can take to the marketplace. This is just one of them. Some of you are more interested in taking the 2-step funding program out. The 2-step funding program has a grant allocation, but it's a partial grant allocation instead of fully. And so that puts some money in your pocket up front. The grant covers $2,104. The individual pays $396, either one time over 4 payments. And we can pull that up if you'd like. two-step funding. And so again, here you would get your own landing page that would look just like this. You drive clients to it, and they would start with this process, hit the green button, and then it would take them to enrollment. So Dwight, you're right. Clients, you as a referral partner have different campaigns. You could do the free 4-week funding that we just looked at. You could do the two-step, which is going to have a little bit of out-of-pocket cost to the client, but put some money in your pocket right away. So that's okay. And then, of course, some of you are more interested in being a white label partner, whereby you control the client terms and conditions, client pricing. And in that case, there's a full $2,500 coming to you as a white label partner up front. And Timothy's asking about that. So if we go to 4weekfunding.com, let's type it in, 4weekfunding.com. This is where you'd actually get set up as a white label partner, and there's no cost to enroll. And so if you become a white label partner, then these clients are contracting directly with you. You're controlling the terms and conditions. Normally, you're going to make the $2,500 up front for each client that enrolls. That's collected after the client's first capital raise. And then you get a performance fee, which you set. So there's 3 primary campaigns, Dwight, that you and others can take to the marketplace. The 4weekfunding.org, free to the client, 100% grant allocation. The two-step funding, client pays $396, puts money in your pocket, it overrides 3 levels deep. Or at the top of the heap is the white label partnership role, which is described here. But you're right, Dwight. So each of those 3 campaigns varies in terms of what the client's responsibilities are, and you can work with them to decide which of the 3 is best. But in general, you're probably going to be able to cast the widest net by bringing clients in to the free 4-week funding program. And then, especially if you're a white label partner, then you can always offer to help them go right into funding, whereby you plug them into your access to capital contract, and then we can get them at least $100,000 of funding. You set the performance fee. Let's say it's 15%. Then you know you're making $15,000 gross income off of each client versus just 5. Thank you, Dwight, for your question. So who else has questions on the free 4-week funding program? We've covered the first module we talked about yesterday on planning and live plan. Today we dug into credit. I certainly hope that each of you are able to recognize the incredible value proposition. You know, this certainly is a $2,500 value. And under this model, this campaign here, you're able to deliver it to the marketplace where they don't have to pay anything. They don't have to pay anything. Now, of course, as Dwight was mentioning, we want them to participate. We want them to be involved, to go through. So while they don't have financial skin in the game, we do want them to go through the 4 modules. That's how the grant will continue to be replenished based upon us showing positive outcomes. All right, any other questions, comments, concerns that I can help any of you with today? Because it's real simple. If you go to 4weekfunding.org, fill this out. You can go through the curriculum yourself if you'd like. If you want to be a referral partner, you fill this out and hit yes, and then proceed forward. Going through the curriculum yourself is going to be very helpful training, because we can talk about these modules, but it's what's called experiential learning, like riding a bike or tying your shoe. Will you learn it more? Will you know it more? Will you have a deeper understanding if you actually go through the 4-week process rather than us just talking about it on these morning Zooms? Of course, of course. All right. Cameron says he wants to mentor his clients. Yeah. So if you want to do the mentoring, Cameron, that's fine. So you'd be a white label partner, which you are, Cameron. And I think you just submitted a client in this week, in fact. So yes, if you're a white label partner, then you would do the mentoring if you're feeding them in directly into access to capital. Some of you are doing a hybrid. Take Mr. White, who's an all-star out of Michigan. What Mr. White's doing is, even though he's a white label partner, he's feeding his prospects now. He didn't always do it this way, but now he's feeding them in here. He has his own link. So he's going to be enroll probably 20, 30 people this week. And then he's essentially outsourcing the mentoring to us. And then he's pivoting them over to the access to capital platform, the white label, with the carrot of going to funding sooner than later. And so you can do the hybrid the way that Mr. White does, or Cameron, you can do it the way that you prefer, which is to bring them straight into access to capital under your white label contract. But for most of us will probably recognize the best success by bringing them into the free 4-week funding program as an initial step, because you're just obviously going to be able to help more people when there's no upfront cost. All right, who else has questions, comments, concerns? And yes, April, so we'll be back tomorrow morning. We'll talk about modules 3 and 4 in a concise fashion tomorrow. And then Friday, we won't have a training because of travel. Okay, Brett's got a question or comment. So he says, in respect to the free 4-week funding program, when someone clicks the box and becomes an affiliate referral partner. Okay, great. So this platform, so it's important to understand. So if you're going to bring Brett and anyone else, if you're going to bring someone in, a client into the free 4-week funding program, how much does the client pay? $0. There's no cost to the client, 100% grant subsidized. How much does it pay out commissions up front? $0, because there's no financial transaction from the client. The compensation is triggered for those clients that take the additional next step and want to go to funding. And so either you could do nothing, and if they decide to go into funding, you would still get paid 5 points as a referral partner by filling that out, going through this process. Or you could be like Mr. White, white label partner, and he picks up those folks. He follows up with them once they've enrolled, because he's obviously notified through the system, and then he'll offer to help them go ahead and get their first tranche of financing right away. He'll get them under contract with him as a white label partner, and then he is receiving the additional compensation from that. There's no, so in summary, to Brett's point, there is no commission payout because there is no financial transaction on this first step, if you will. It's if they move forward to funding, which most of them will want to, because that's why they're going through the process. You can control how much you earn based upon if you bring them into your white label access to capital, or do nothing and just let them fall into our internal program. So there's no comp directly based upon the completion of this form, but it's like casting a net, building a big pipeline. We anticipate of every 100 people that you refer in using this process, 70 to 75 of them will move on to funding. And so if you take 75 out of 100 and multiply that times 5,000, that's a big income. And of course, if you don't want to do it that way, you can bring them directly into your white label access to capital. All right. So there's no sub-affiliate comp. That's what Brett's asking. So there's no comp directly for running people through this, nor is there any sub-affiliate comp for bringing people through this free process. Now, if you want to do the 2-step funding, There is affiliate payout and sub-affiliate and sub-affiliate. So that's why it's so important, number one, not to be confused, not suggesting that Brett is, but you want to decide which campaign. If your goal is to make money up front from each client that enrolls, then you'd probably want to do the two-step funding. And that would allow you to get paid. And there's 3 levels of payouts with overrides and overrides, I guess, if you will. So it's just important to understand that each of these campaigns operates differently. Now, the client's getting the same value proposition. They're still going through the 4-week curriculum. They're still on module 2, getting this about credit, module 1 about the life plan, business plan. So it's different packaging for the same resource, and you as the referral partner decides how do you want to be paid. So for Brett, he's big into network marketing. I don't mean MLM, but he's big into affiliate marketing. And so he wants to be able to recruit people and earn overrides. And so he'll probably focus more on 2-step funding, which is fine. Just different campaigns. You decide what you want to take to the marketplace. All right, we're a bit long here. Any other questions, comments, concerns anyone has? We'll be back tomorrow morning, on Thursday morning. We'll talk about modules 3 and briefly module 4. We won't be together on Friday, and then we'll resume, of course, normally on Monday of next week. All right, thanks everyone. See you tomorrow morning. Have a good day. Bye.